A judge reaches a decision in the trial of an officer who inadvertently got a suspect hit by a train. Xcel blames bad spring weather for a drop in earnings. If you don't remember the bad weather, it's because Xcel's definition is a little different.
My good news is I'm moving on to first grade.
And kids at Buckley Space Force Base are going back to school with fully stocked backpacks. Even though I just said back to school in July, this sounds like good news to me. Our favorite Friday tradition continues tonight on Next. A police officer who put a handcuffed suspect in the back of a patrol car that was on train tracks and then hit by a train. She avoided a felony conviction today. A judge did convict Fort Lupton police officer Jordan Stanky of 2 misdemeanors, reckless endangerment and third-degree assault. The judge found her not guilty of attempted reckless manslaughter. That was the felony. The reason the judge gave was reasonable doubt that Stanky meant to harm the woman in the back of the car. The victim, Ureni Rios, she survived with multiple broken bones. Her attorney spoke with us after the verdict.
Well, interestingly, when the judge gave his verdict, she was literally at a doctor's appointment. So, and that pretty much is typical. I mean, she has appointments every week. Justice to her certainly meant the officer being convicted of a criminal offense.
The misdemeanor assault conviction is a disqualifying factor to be an officer in Colorado, which means Stanky will likely lose her ability to be a certified police officer. She will be sentenced in September and could face up to 1 year in jail. Not too long ago, when it was not 90 degrees every day, we had a stretch of weather where you might not turn on your air conditioning. Good for you, bad for the people who make money off our energy use, also known as Xcel. Xcel Energy just told its investors why pleasant weather is unfavorable weather. For the second quarter of 2023, Xcel in Colorado specifically earned $93 million, which is actually a 30% drop from what it made in the same time period last year. Part of the blame, weather that does not require us to turn on the heat or air conditioning. To Xcel, that's called unfavorable weather. But looking at the first half of 2023, Xcel's earnings in Colorado are just about even with where they were last year, $307 million in profit.
Oh, wow.
Investors were quite curious with the impact of the civil lawsuits around the Marshall Fire. In its quarterly report, Xcel counted 8 Marshall Fire lawsuits with 586 plaintiffs. The Boulder County Sheriff's Office blamed the 12 tribes' property for one of the fires that would be known as the Marshall Fire and said Xcel's equipment was most likely to blame for a second fire 1 hour later.
We strongly disagree with the conclusion of the sheriff's report, and we will vigorously defend ourselves in court.
Xcel's investor report also revealed how much the company's insurance policy covers, $500 million. An investor analyst pressed for more information about that coverage.
In terms of the $500 million insurance, what was the cost of that insurance and when was it procured?
We haven't disclosed the cost, Ryan, and every year we renew our insurance program, and we continue to look at that.
The second question asked by that investor analyst is something you've been curious about also.
So the $500 million, any associated costs with procuring it, is that passed on to ratepayers, or is that embedded in your O&M cost outlook?
It's recovered through rate cases, yes.
We've previously explained that the insurance policy is built into base rates that you pay. So on the electric side of your bill, for example, a base rate is the time of use rate that you see on one of those line items. If Xcel had to pay any legal judgment, it would come from the insurance policy. Now, I don't have an answer what happens if the company had to pay out more than the insurance policy, but if the company wanted to try to pass that on to customers, it would have to be approved first by the Public Utilities Commission. Nearly 200 people without housing could get it under Denver's strategy of turning hotels into shelters and permanent housing. Denver's Housing Authority Board approved $26 million to buy the Best Western off I-70 in Quebec. The hotel's 194 units will be turned into permanent supportive housing. The city plans to have at least 40% reserved for the extremely low income. That's an income of $26,000 for a single person, $37,000 for a family of 4. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston calls the purchase, quote, the first key piece of his plan to house 1,000 unsheltered people by the end of the year. If the purchase happens, Denver will pay for it through a combination of bond money and loans. The city's Department of Housing and Stability plans to ask City Council for federal funding to cover the loans. Planned Parenthood in Colorado Springs will still not have to pay survivors and family members of those killed in the 2015 mass shooting. Survivors sued Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains after the shooting, which killed 3 and injured 9. They argued that Planned Parenthood had a responsibility to step up security measures to protect employees and patients, especially in light of a history of threats against the organization nationwide. 2 years ago, a jury ruled Planned Parenthood did not have any notice of threats specifically against that Colorado Springs clinic, so they ruled Planned Parenthood was not financially liable. The survivors appealed, but the appeals court ruled against them yesterday. We're getting some feedback after our story on Castilla County homeowners who appealed their property value assessments only to be slapped with even higher valuations. Bob in Summit County told us he can relate. When his assessment came in the mail, he was relieved to find out his property value was not going up. Lucky guy. But this month, he got the kind of mail you don't want to open. Turns out his original assessment was a mistake, and his county's Board of Equalization notified him his property value would go up. This came after the deadline to appeal to his assessor, but the state's property tax administrator let us know he's not out of options.
They received the notice from the County Board of Equalization. They have 30 days from the date of the postmark of that notice to be able to still appeal to the 3, either district court, state board of assessment appeals, or binding arbitration. So they always have an appeal right.
There are several levels of appeal you can do. It seems like everyone appealed their property value, but there are many of you who did not and are maybe thinking, should I have? If you did not, you can do it in January. It's called a property tax abatement, basically an appeal. Just remember, and we learned it this week, your property value can be adjusted higher, just like it can be lowered. This week, we have the opportunity to help Latino businesswomen in Edgewater find their own financial success, and we can do it $5 at a time. Here's Kyle with an update on this week's Word of Thanks.
There's a really innovative project helping Latinas build wealth in Edgewater these days. The nonprofit Edgewater Collective's Incubadora Colectiva is helping Latinas start their own worker-owned and operated businesses so that they can generate wealth and keep it in the community. That effort is the recipient of this week's Word of Thanks campaign. We're helping them get their first 3 worker co-ops off the ground. It's a language translation service, daycare services, and lactation services for young families. These women are leveraging their expertise, and they're creating something that they and their coworkers will own and will benefit from, and that will benefit the community as a whole. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491 and joining me in giving to this week's Word of Thanks recipient, the nonprofit Edgewater Collective.
Federal regulators want major polluters to be more transparent about cancer-causing chemicals they may be leaking into the air. And for once, Colorado's ahead of the game. We're tracking storms rolling across the metro area and what windy conditions could mean for a fire still growing here near Crested Butte.
My good news is my dad is coming home soon.
Oh. Now cover your ears for the bad part. Back to school. Back to school can be tough, but our good news this Friday, military families getting back to school help for free. Next. Hey, when it comes to air quality standards, Colorado is ahead of the game. But don't confuse that with actual air quality. The EPA proposed a new rule that would require states to add so-called air toxics to the list of pollutants they have to monitor and report. The EPA identifies air toxics as substances that are suspected to cause cancer and other serious health effects. Right now, states aren't technically required to report those, although most do, like Colorado, which already requires some major polluters, like the Suncor refinery in Commerce City, to monitor for air toxics and report the results to the public. The state also has a new law that requires statewide monitoring to be set up by January. The low-lying fire burning in Gunnison County is still growing, and fire crews believe the potential for gusty conditions tonight could have the fire spread a bit. It's grown just a little since yesterday, 730 acres now, which is just a bit bigger than a square mile. The fire just south of Crested Butte was started by lightning Wednesday. Fire crews there say there's a large number of down or dead trees in the area. That's not good. Conditions yesterday helped slow the spread, but now, Lauren, we have to talk about some wind. I saw out the window at the studio today, just like I saw for the last few days, just suddenly the wind is blowing the trees sideways.
That's right. And we've been having these afternoon to evening, very brief but very gusty storms. And tonight we're going to continue to see that same pattern continue where we start the day sunny, hot, nice and summer-like, and then afternoon and evening we just watch for these very scattered but brief storms pushing through, some strong winds and locally heavy downpours. Right now over Denver, we did have a storm push through earlier. It's starting to clear out just a bit. 82 degrees at DIA, a good mix of sun and clouds. Dew point's not too bad, 55 degrees. Winds coming in from the south-southeast at around 8 miles per hour. But we do have a couple of different air quality alerts in effect. One of them is over the urban corridor where we usually have our ozone action days. This is in effect now until tomorrow afternoon. We do also have this Gunnison County wildfire smoke air quality alert, and that's going to be for that low-lying fire there where we do still have heavy smoke in that area. So both of these brown areas, you do want to watch for that decreased air quality over the next day or so at least. Now, as we take a look at our HD Doppler radar, we did have a line of scattered showers and storms push their way from the high country to the foothills, through portions of the Front Range, and now into the eastern plains. You can see a line of storms forming from Colorado Springs south to the southern border there. But let's take a closer look into the northeastern corner of the state where we have a few lingering storms near Steamboat Springs and Kremling, and then we also have some really starting to come together across northern portions of the eastern plains, so we're going to continue to monitor that. Northern portions of the eastern plains also where we have a marginal risk for severe weather, so these areas want to watch for maybe some moderate to large size hail in addition to the locally heavy downpours and strong winds we've been seeing with these very gusty storms. Overnight we stay mostly cloudy, lows near 63 degrees, pretty mild, a hot weekend in store. These temperatures staying in the middle 90s, but as we move into next week, temperatures drop. We're going to see more widespread showers and storms.
Medical house calls are not what they used to be. In Weld County, a home nursing program just got a boost with $250,000. The Nurse Family Partnership can help new mothers survive childbirth and thrive for 2 years after. Here's Katie Eastman.
At 15 months, Lucas Martinez is on the move, a little wobbly, but ready to go. And mom is close behind.
It's kind of hectic.
He's Alejandra Caballero's first baby.
Oh, thank you.
And navigating pregnancy in the postpartum period has been hard.
Hello. Hi. How are you?
But made easier by Kaylee Kochever.
Oh, Lucas, look at you in your pink.
Kaylee is a registered nurse with Weld County's Nurse Family Partnership Program.
Lucas, you're walking so good.
She is part of a team that visits each client every few weeks before they have their baby and until the baby is 2. Kaylee does stuff like take blood pressure.
This will be good.
But NFP goes way beyond a normal doctor's visit.
NFP is a special program.
Alejandra has felt affirmation, not judgment.
He's fallen sometimes, or he's eaten a Band-Aid, and you're kind of embarrassed to tell them, but I've never felt embarrassed to tell her these things.
According to the state health department, Weld County has the second highest birth rate per 1,000 people in Colorado. The county says there's an increasing need for this program to serve families in rural areas for free.
I was working when I was pregnant, and I had to stop working just because I fell and I was just having like accidents, so it was just better if I didn't work, so that was kind of hard.
Kaylee was with Alejandra when she was pregnant. She was there when Lucas was born prematurely, and she's still here as he wobbles along with the next goal of talking.
Roaring in my ear.
For Next, I'm Katie Eastman.
Yeah, that's not Dada.
I love that. In 2022, Weld County's NFP program served 178 families. There are just about 30 families shy of that so far this year.
I am grateful that I am gonna get my Sammy and Turkey draw and write journal created by Vimo so I can make him write the Sammy Bird Show, which is about Sammy.
Just like that answer, your good news never runs out. We should know we've been sharing it for 341 weeks. Our favorite Friday question is next.
And I want to make...
So long, SoCal. See ya, Seattle. Bye-bye, Bay Area. No more packing bags for Pac-12 away games. Next year in the Big 12, CU fans will hit the road in big-time locations like Manhattan. No, not that one. Manhattan, Kansas, home to the Kansas State Wildcats. If that's not for you, you can set your aims for Iowa State. You can debate John Denver's best hit when leaving the Colorado Rocky Mountain High for a road game in the country roads of West Virginia. There's always the beach. Instead of the chilly waters off California's coast, prepare for the warm Atlantic Ocean on your trip to Central Florida. See you on the road. It's almost back to school time. And while some parents are celebrating the opportunity to get the kids out of the house, first they've got to overcome one dreaded obstacle. That's back to school shopping. Today, a nonprofit called Operation Homefront helped families from Buckley Space Force Base cross some items off the list. It was the perfect place to ask our weekly question, what's your good news?
Do you need help carrying stuff? We just like to show our military families that we appreciate them and all their hard work, and any kind of financial relief we can give them by school supplies is support that we love to do.
You follow the rules.
Not everybody does. My good news today is that I'm here being able to support our Aurora families and being able to work for Operation Homefront.
My good news is I'm going to my friend's house.
And what are you going to do?
We're gonna play. He really wants a Minecraft warden, and I lost it, so he's gonna freak out.
I'm here with my family, my mom and siblings, and we're getting school supplies for school. My good news is that my mom's working really hard to help us.
My good news is my dad is coming home soon.
My good news is that I'm going back to work after 10 years of being a stay-at-home mom.
Are you ready?
I'm so excited.
My good news is I'm moving on to first grade. 3 notebooks. My good news is that I'm going to second grade and I'm going to learn lots of stuff.
These kids were so excited to have school supplies that they can pick, that they can choose the colors they love, that they can be ready for the first day of school.
Thank you so much.
So it's great for us to be able to give them an opportunity to start out the year with a brand new backpack, school supplies that they'll be ready for, and starting out in a new location.
My good news is that we are thankful for Operation Homefront providing us free school supplies.
Putting together a backpack before school was always the best thing. And then you had to go to school, and after that it was kind of out the window. A sign that's begging for attention next, and some of your feedback as well. It's a sign that may not get much sympathy from other City of Denver residents like me. Bob Cook gave his compost bin the Delgany Bridge treatment. You know, the sad bridge by Ball Arena that's begging to get fixed, but no one knows who owns it. Bob's hoping the Fix Me, Fix Me, Fix Me Denver sign would get the city to fix the broken wheels in the bin after 17 weeks with no action. Place your bets which gets fixed first, and if other people in Denver get their compost bin before that gets fixed. Feedback tonight, John on Twitter says, I might have mislabeled in the Xcel story one of the voices you heard. It might have been the chief financial officer talking about insurance, not the CEO. We'll go back and check and see if that's accurate or not. Kelly is a little skeptical, wondering if the property assessor's property was assessed at a higher rate. That sounds maybe cynical, not skeptical. We'll check, though.